Morning. I'm going out, but before I go, something just dropped into my mind while I was dressing up, and I just wanted to talk about it before I zoom out. Shame. Shame kills creativity. All the potentials of who you are and who you can be, the possibilities that exist with your being is buried under the cloud of shame. I've seen in different culture that people use shame as a medium or a tool of decomposition to break you down. People use shame to destroy other people's self-esteem. They want to tell you that you are not what you think you are. You are opinionated. You think too much of yourself. Who do you think you are? Besides that, people inherit shame. A shame that is not yours. You didn't do anything wrong, but because maybe you come from a family that is, known or perceived to be XYZ in your community, you walk in shame with your heads bowed. You are forced to be humbled, not in terms of not being arrogant, but in terms of you submitting to the perception of people, you accepting that you are a little bit too much. There's a popular deity whose story was told about the culture of shaming women. This woman was brought to him caught in the very act of adultery, and she was about to be stoned. Men, different people came together to say, we caught this woman in the act of adultery. They wanted to stone her. They wanted to shame her publicly. And this deity of fierce love and jealousy did not jump into action. Rather, the story says that he bowed down and he was doing something with sand or with mud on the floor. And then he looked up and he said, let he who is without sin be the first to cast the stone. Guess what happened? One by one, the accuser of this woman disappeared because none of them was without sin. They all had guilt, they all had shame, but they covered it. It wasn't popular, it wasn't made known to others. So they thought that they could judge someone who they caught in an act. Let me tell you, your friends, your community, your family, your society will try to put a label of shame on you. Not because, it's just what they do, but because shame decomposes your potentials and your capability. It is in your best interest to get out of that feeling of shame. Some women have inherited shame from dysfunctional families that they come from. The story will be told that she comes from a family of single parents. So she walks in shame with her head bowed. Some other women have inherited shame from their own broken marriages and broken relationships. Not that they didn't give it the best that they could. They did. But the other person was bent on going the other way. And then they inherit the shame from this broken relationship. They want to keep their heads bowed. They don't want to speak in public. They don't want the judgment of people. Some inherit the shame of their past, the things they did before they knew themselves, before they got to know who they are. And then because of that, they bow down in shame. If you could walk out of shame today, the capabilities, the capacity that has been bestowed inside of you, since the day you were formed, we find expression. When I was thinking about shame and getting dressed, I thought about Jesus Christ, the one who was crucified. He was naked, stark naked. Not only was he naked, he was hanged on the cross for everybody to see. They saw his nakedness. It's the highest shame. He was condemned by people that he loved, that he sacrificed for, that he gave himself for. But guess what happened? When he forsook the shame, when he went past that, today, he is one of the most popular beings that has ever walked this earth. In fact, story has it that he is still alive now and forevermore. His name is highly exalted. People, kings, rulers, princes, they call upon him for deliverance. In public, some people deny him in public. They go in private to acknowledge him as the greatest being of all time. But he was lifted up in shame, crucified for the things he did not do. They tried to put a label on him He was called the son of the carpenter. He was born in the manger. Everything about him screams cheap, humble, cheap, irrelevant. He came out of a village where nobody knew, the most irrelevant village that existed. But guess what? He walked out of the shame. He embraced purpose. Today, God has highly exalted him and given him a name that is above all name. At the name of Jesus, every knee bows. Would you walk out of shame today like a snake walks out of their whole skin? Would you embrace the possibilities and the potentials that God has put inside your belly? Would you let those things, your creativity, your passion, would you let them flow out of your belly? I will. And I hope you join me in this journey.